Hi everyone, this is Sunette, and in this video, the final video, is walking a conclusion in relation to the willingness to change and the willingness to learn, and what opened up for me in something that happened in a matter of seconds. And here in my story, also for everyone to see how much you can learn about yourself and how much about yourself and your life can change from taking a moment to look into one single reaction. And as I said, it was such a fine line in that moment where my thoughts wanted to go to blaming him, to being angry with him, which would have led to me ending the relationship. Saying, I don't want your services anymore. This is unacceptable how you spoke to me, and I am pissed off and angry, and it's your fault. And now, looking back at understanding, well, I'm so grateful for understanding how the mind works, how my thoughts, emotions work, and being able to understand them and interpret them, translate my own consciousness, and within that, look deeper into myself. So, looking back, how much more I've learned about myself since then, how much more of my life changed. And this is my relationship with myself, with others, with business, with money, with discipline, with organizing. And it's quite extraordinary. And none of that would have happened if I listened to my thoughts and emotions and took it at face value. Now, this also gives you a bit more of an idea of what it is that I do and how, much of the videos that I share as well through Self and Living is what I've learned and experienced from investigating things that I'm going through inside myself and understanding my relationship with my mind and reality. So, going back to the willingness to change and the willingness to learn with now walking into my reality, the factual reality, where I haven't yet had as much practice is, with people in my life. There's still quite interesting enough moments with those closest to me where I can still feel like there's been an ongoing, projection of who I am. As they say, we sometimes hurt those closest to us the most, as much as it is that we can deceive those closest to us the most, because of the extent to which we're living a self-deception within ourselves. And here is also something interesting in that I had to work through inside myself, is judging the word self-deception, lying, betrayal. When, again, if I have issues or problems with those concepts inside myself and the fact that I'm living them and doing them, I won't be able to really understand myself in them and work through them, nor be able to really, truly, unconditionally assist and support another who's doing it to themselves. We, instead of, understanding another person who does it, we judge. So I've been working through that as well. And rather understanding these constructs inside myself and how and where and when I do it and why and where it comes from. So that's more a personal history process that I'm also working with, but more long term, because that's more deeply rooted and extensive. But to have a look at how this willingness to learn and willingness to change now in my reality, with making sure I'm not living fleeting moments of deception, betrayal, and lying, but that I meet people and walk into my reality more seeing through the eyes of facts inside myself. So it's like literally I've got to consciously train myself now in my everyday life to see, okay, when am I going into a shift of a personality of, hello, I'm fine, to what I'm actually experiencing as just being chill, for example. So being honest with what I'm going through, but at the same time also reflecting on that honesty. Because obviously, let's say it doesn't stop there. It's not about just being honest and then accepting that. I think that's also a mistake that many make, and that I've also made in the past, thinking that honesty is about just living who you are. So if I am waking up in a day and I'm just waking up in a really crappy mood, then that's my honesty. Okay, I'm in a crappy mood today, and you're just living crappiness the whole day. No, it doesn't work like that. It goes, okay, I'm feeling crappy. Why? Where's it coming from? Do I really want to feel crappy, or is crappy happening to me? Where's this triggering from? Doing that self-investigation and deciding what word do I want to live today. So it's about being in more control of who you are than hiding who you are and then living a facade of everything's okay and fine and having those fleeting moments of self-deception with you and another. Because that is rather exhausting to live in that way. And I think over time, a consequence of that I've noticed as well is, it becomes tiresome to be confronted with people living a projected facade, and maintaining the burdens and the struggles and the strife that you're having in your personal life that no one sees or that you don't show to anyone. So what then happens is you start subconsciously and unconsciously isolating yourself slowly but surely from people in your life, and then retreat, in your cocoon of a reality that's a mess, that's a chaos, that's a hell, that you kind of just live in and drift within. And you become so tired of even wanting to connect with people, wanting to go out there, wanting to be social. Because what's really behind it is you've got to put so much energy in constantly lying and deceiving. You just don't bother with that anymore. So, it's that reality and that life that took me to a point of just that moment in the conversation, that whole lie I've been living was playing out in that moment, in that conversation, with the words willingness to change and willingness to learn. I mean, so sometimes what I love about life, you face yourself in the most unsuspecting moments, which is always perfect. Because if you know you're going to face yourself, we're good at deceiving and manipulating and reasoning and justifying inside ourselves. But I was so nicely caught out there. So I just clapped my hands at life. I was like, well done. Well done. Now, also what I've been implementing is making a point of the willingness to change and the willingness to learn and actually putting it into action in my life. I also took that scale, the willingness to learn, willingness to change. I wrote it down for myself. It is, to me, okay, but I couldn't also be judgmental on myself and go at 0. So be careful for that, you're not too hard on yourself. I gave it about 1.5. And that's where I'm going to start. And so since then, pushing myself to everyday live change, live learning. So I take a bit to learn about a change that I need to do and how I'm going to do it, who I need to help me with it, getting those things ready to actually start honestly looking at that scale and moving it around. Changing the numbers, seeing my own change for myself that I guide and gauge in my reality. And I will only change that scale, if there's actual change that I know, honestly, I've lived in my reality. So that's a way that you can approach it for yourself as well. to guide and assess, honestly, how your learning and change willingness is coming through in your everyday life where it's real. And another important thing that also helped me a lot in my conversations and discussions with this individual was, we tend to also shift in realities where on a level, almost on a mental reality inside myself, felt like the willingness to change. There was a me in me somewhere that had a willingness to change of 10 out of 10. But that me ain't living in this reality. That was for sure. I wasn't here. And there was no change happening. There was no learning happening. I was stuck completely. So, we have to make sure we're not living in two worlds and then trying to keep just the mental world alive while our real world are going shit. So here in the conversations when I'm asked a question, as I said, I make sure, okay, am I really speaking from me in my real reality? Not the idyllic me that is living in some utopia in my mind, in a fantasy reality. Work with the real me, the real reality. And that's what I like about the scale as well. Made it about the real me and my real reality. Also wrote it on top of the scale. Where am I at in my real world? So making sure I'm aligned, mind, being, self, body in this world. Because that extent of shift can be more extensive than we realize. All right, everyone. This is me. Thank you very much for listening, and do hope these videos inspire you in your personal life, in having a look at our tendency to live in two worlds and what it means to make sure we make the most and the best of ourselves and our lives in this real world. Thank you very much, everyone.